freaks out. Shocking truth about her brother revealed after sister's death. Chapter 1. The Mysterious Beginning. From the very first moment, an eerie silence hung over the old farmhouse, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves stirred by an unseen breeze. Strange shadows flickered across the cracked walls, as if the house itself held secrets desperate to be uncovered. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a whispered warning, while outside the distant howl of a lone wolf sent chills down Margaret's spine. Something was undeniably wrong. A hidden truth lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel. The air grew thick with anticipation as unexplained lights danced in the darkness, and the townsfolk's hushed rumors spoke of an ancient curse that no one dared to challenge. Each strange occurrence piled upon the last, weaving a tangled web of mystery that pulled Margaret deeper into the story, craving to know what sinister forces were at play. "Margaret, dear, you must understand." Edna's voice trembled, cutting through the thick silence like a knife. The old woman's sunken eyes seemed to reflect a lifetime of sorrows. "Your sister's death, it's only the beginning." Margaret's heart raced, a lump forming in her throat. She had come here for solace, to grieve. Yet this was no ordinary family reunion. The words lingered in the air like a bitter aftertaste. "What do you mean?" Edna took a deep breath, her frail hands clutching a faded photograph. "Liam, my brother, your great-uncle, he was never dead, Margaret. He vanished after a tragedy struck our family. The Hawthorns, they were involved." The name sent a shudder through Margaret. The Hawthorns were the family that had loomed over theirs like a dark cloud, full of whispered scandals and hidden rivalries. They had always been the enemy. But this was something else entirely. "You are playing a dangerous game, Edna," Margaret warned, though dread coiled around her chest. "Why would you bring this up now, of all times?" "Because you need to know the truth that can shatter the silence we've all lived in," Edna urged, her voice rising with urgency. "I found this letter." She handed it to Margaret, her hands trembling. Margaret unfolded the yellowed paper, her breath hitching in her throat as she read the words. "If you search for Liam, be wary. The Hawthorns watch closely. You are not safe." A chill swept through her, carrying the weight of a legacy that had been buried for too long. "Is Liam really out there?" Margaret whispered, the words barely escaping her lips. Suddenly the world felt vast, and yet she was trapped in this moment, teetering on the edge of discovering the unimaginable. "Yes," Edna affirmed, her voice steady but worn. "And he could be the only one who can help us understand our past. But it comes with a price." Margaret's stomach churned as she looked out the window at the gathering storm clouds. The atmosphere thickened with tension. The walls seemed to absorb their secrets, each corner of the house echoing the weight of familial betrayal and sorrow. As lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating the shadows around them, Margaret knew she was being pulled into something far deeper than mere grief. She had to know the truth about Liam. But what if it meant twisting the knife deeper into her family's wounds? Just as she pieced together the tangled threads of her reality. The door creaked open to reveal a figure waiting in the shadows, a letter in hand. The wind howled, as if the very universe sought to reveal its secrets. But at what cost? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, drop that powerful like that helps me so much with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The door swung open with a heavy creak, a gust of wind blowing through the space. Margaret gasped, her hands flying to her chest as an imposing figure stepped into the dim light, the paper clutched tightly in his hand. It was a tall man, shadows draping over his sharp features. But Margaret's heart stuttered as his eyes locked onto hers, eyes that held a mix of familiarity and something darker. "Margaret," he spoke, voice like gravel. It was a voice she recognized, yet it felt twisted by time. "I've come to tell you the truth about Liam and our family." "Who are you?" The words left her mouth trembling. There was something about him that felt both threatening and achingly familiar, as if she were looking into a mirror reflecting a past she never wanted to see. With a sigh, he stepped into the light, a flicker of a candle illuminating his face. Margaret's breath caught. "I'm Nathan, your cousin." Edna gasped, her frail body stiffening. "Nathan? But you disappeared. You were supposed to be gone, just like Liam." He nodded, his expression unreadable. "Not gone, just hidden. I found Liam, but you need to listen." Each word was thunderous, shaking the walls that held family secrets. "Where is he?" Margaret's voice wavered, disbelief swirling within her. "Why are you here now?" Nathan took a step closer, scrutinizing her as if trying to decipher her soul. "Because it's not just about Liam. It's about our family, the Hawthorns. Everything. They hold the key to our past. It all connects to the darkness that took him." Lightning flashed outside, casting eerie shapes across the walls. But Nathan's intensity held her in place. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. But more than anything, curiosity gnawed at her, urging her to stay. "Betrayal runs thick in our blood," Nathan continued, voice low and urgent. "I didn't come back to stir old wounds. I came back to warn you. The Hawthorns want something from you, something I can't let them have. We have to stick together, or it will mean ruin for both of us." Margaret's mind whirled. "What are you talking about? You're scaring me." But he only met her gaze, unflinching. "You're not as safe as you think, Margaret. The curse isn't just about Liam. It goes deeper, into us. I've been tracking the Hawthorns, seeing their movements. They're looking for you, both of us. If they find out you're here, they'll come for you. They already know about your sister. Her breath quickened. Why are we connected? What did our family do? Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled. An otherworldly sound erupted, reverberating shadows dancing wildly on the walls. Margaret's heart raced as fragments of the farmhouse fell around them, and with a horrifying crack, the floor burst open, revealing a hidden pit beneath, swirling with darkness. "Get back!" Nathan shouted, yanking her away as the floor splintered. But even as he pulled her, her eyes widened in horror. This was no ordinary pit. Lurking within were remnants of old photographs, twisted ties of the past she never wanted to uncover. Faces of relatives, half-formed and twisted, stared up at her from the gloom. Margaret's mind raced, panic flooding her senses. What is this? But Nathan's gaze was fixated on something deeper, the recognition stark on his face. This isn't just a pit. It's our family's graveyard of secrets. We've been buried under lies, and now the truth is clawing its way back out. Before she could respond, an unseen force yanked Nathan away, dragging him toward the abyss. "No!" she screamed, reaching for him as he disappeared into the shadows. The house trembled again, and for the first time, the weight of a horrific legacy loomed over her. Questions piled in her mind. Had he come to help or to hurt? What did he know about Liam? And just like that, as Nathan vanished, another figure emerged from the darkness, one that sent ice through her veins. A familiar face, but twisted, glaring with malevolence. "You thought you could escape, didn't you, Margaret?" The figure sneered, cold pleasure dancing in their eyes. Margaret's heart pounded as the web of mystery thickened. Clutching the letter tightly, she realized she was in a game where every secret could either save her or destroy her. The truth had shattered her reality. And in the chaos of uncertainty, one dreadful thought lingered. Who could she trust now? The figure stepped closer, eyes glinting with a mixture of malice and recognition. "You thought you could escape, didn't you, Margaret?" The voice dripped with venom, twisting every syllable. It was Emma, her sister's face, but the person staring back was a dark reflection. Emma? Margaret's heart raced. Confusion washed over her, a tidal wave of emotions crashing down. "What are you?" "I'm here to finish what was started." Emma smiled, but it was the kind of smile that curled at the edges, unsteady and wrong. "You've always been a pawn in this game, but I'm not letting you play anymore." Every word sent shudders through Margaret's body. A tightness gripped her chest, as if an unseen hand was pressing down, suffocating her very spirit. "This isn't you! You're not like this!" "Not like this?" Emma's laugh echoed, cold and hollow, bouncing off the walls like a mocking ghost. "You never understood, did you? You were always the favorite, the one who got the light. But I was in the shadows, waiting." The pit's darkness seemed to pulse, as if it had a heartbeat, almost resonating with Emma's rage. Nearby, Nathan's absence felt like a missing limb. You? You disappeared to the Hawthorns? How could you? You have no idea what they promised me, Emma hissed, features twisting in anguish and delight. I can have everything. Power, love, the life that was meant for me. But first, I need you out of the way. Fear twisted in Margaret's stomach, mingling with disbelief. You can't mean that. We're sisters, Emma. We're family. Family? Emma spat. That word is meaningless when lies bind us tighter than blood. You don't realize how deep the betrayal runs. I've seen things that could break you. A whisper of memories flickered in Margaret's mind. Happy days that felt like hollow shells now. The coziness of laughter, disrupted by this creeping darkness. What have you done? Suddenly, the air thickened, the walls began to shake, and the very floor quaked around them. Emma's expression shifted, a terrified glint surfacing amidst her rage. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. We have to! But before she could finish, the ground gave way, yawning wider than before, revealing layers of shadows shifting uneasily below. Among the chaos, the skeletal remains of what once was started to rise. Past sins clawing their way back into the light. The moment froze. Time stretched as the figures emerged. Family faces, long thought lost, twisted into grotesque forms. But something else moved. Something monstrous, weaving through the despair like a dark intent. Margaret's breath hitched, panic gripping her tight. What are they doing? She stepped back, her heart crying to distance itself from that terrible truth. Emma's body shook with newfound fear. No! I was supposed to control it. They can't be here. The urgency clawed at Margaret. This betrayal, this fight for power, it was deeper, darker than anticipated. You unleashed them, she choked out, the enormity of the moment crashing down faster than the walls around them. I didn't mean to. They need a bloodline, Emma cried, her bravado fading like a flickering candle. Panic twisted the room, chaos erupting as shadows surged forward, and Margaret felt a pull, a dark connection urging her closer to the brink of understanding. Was Emma the villain? Or was she also a victim, ensnared in a web of their family's horrors? The ground rumbled again, more aggressively, and the darkness twisted into something horrifying as grotesque laughter echoed through the house. Voices that should have been silent were now shrieking in fury and betrayal. Margaret's heart pounded, each thud echoing the questions ringing in her mind. Could she really trust her sister? Or was Emma the very heart of the darkness? Then, amid the horrifying faces and shadows, a solitary figure stepped forward. Liam. Or what remained of him. Hope twisted into disbelief as he smirked, the edges of his essence fraying like a frayed rope about to snap. Hello, Margaret, he called, voice smooth, serpent-like. Ready to learn the truth about your family? And just like that, the weight of their past cascaded toward an unimaginable future, leaving her breathless on the precipice of an abyss of darkness, forever altering the path that lay ahead. Hello, Margaret, Liam called, voice smooth, serpent-like. Ready to learn the truth about your family? The shadows around him stirred, whispering secrets that should have stayed buried. Margaret felt the chill seep into her bones. "What do you mean?" Her voice trembled, desire and dread twining together like tangled roots. Liam stepped closer, the air thickening like night, pressing down. "Everything you know is a lie. You thought your sister's death was tragedy? It's a veil hiding the reality of who we are." Anger flared in her chest. "What are you talking about? What have you done? What is this place?" He smirked, that same unnerving grin. That almost seemed like a mask. "This place? It holds the truth, Margaret. This farmhouse is where it all started. The Hawthorns cursed all of us, sure, but it goes deeper. You're meant for more than what you've been told. You're a Hawthorn." The words hung in the air, an icy weight that constricted her heart. "That can't be true." "I'm afraid it is," Liam said, backing away slightly, his presence suddenly raging with overwhelming energy. "And you're not just connected by blood. You've inherited their power." Panic surged through her. "No, I'm nothing like them. I refuse to be part of their darkness." Emma, still reeling from her sister's volatile revelation of intent, snapped, "We are the Hawthorns. This is your legacy. You can't run from it." "No, Emma," Margaret screamed, almost pleading. "You've let their lies twist you into a monster." The ground shook again, and the shadows beneath them began to rise like smoke billowing upward. Familiar faces twisted in anguish, trapped between a realm of secrets and the light. Their features screamed of betrayal that ran deeper than blood. Suddenly, something shifted violently in the pit. A black figure surged upward, pulsing with a life force that seemed to bleed misery. "You think you can control the darkness, Emma?" it bellowed, voice a chaotic roar. "You're merely a vessel to our will." Margaret's breath hitched, eyes wide with horror. This wasn't just about family curses. It was bigger. Power swirled around her, dark, intoxicating. It tugged at her instincts, threatening to pull her under. "Stop!" she gasped, desperation clawing at her voice. "We can't let this happen." But before she could think again, a blinding flash erupted. Everything grew bright, searing white. The shadows screamed, their voices melting into panic. "Margaret!" Liam shouted, reaching for her as the lights burst forth in chaotic brilliance. The reality around them twisted. Then, silence. Margaret lay on the floor, dazed. The air hummed with energy, thick and electric. She blinked, confusion swarming her. What just happened? Liam's cold gaze met hers, but it held something she hadn't seen before. You did this. You tapped into something we can't control." What?" Her voice was hoarse, threading fear and bewilderment. Had she lost control? "What is happening?" But before Liam could respond, an echoing laugh cascaded through the space, rich with malice. A figure emerged, draped in shadows, an older woman, regal yet terrifying. "Ah, Margaret Hawthorn, you have awakened what should have stayed asleep," the figure chided, voice like silk frying in fire. "Who are you?" Panic twisted in Margaret's gut as the air thickened with tension. The woman's eyes glinted like shards of ice, smiling as she replied, "Your true heritage, my dear. It seems the lineage of darkness runs strong in you." Reality crashed around Margaret. The walls of the farmhouse, the dark stories, it was all connected. "What do you want from me?" "Everything," the woman shouted, raising her hands as if to summon the swirling shadows. "Join us and reclaim your rightful place at the nexus of our family's power." Margaret felt the terror grip her heart tighter than any fear she had known. "No!" The finality in her voice cut through the chaos. There had to be a way out. There must be a way to save herself, her family, to sever this twisted legacy. But as the shadows closed around her, enveloping her scream, the doubts crept in. Did she even want to be saved? The darkness was seductive, promising strength and certainty in the midst of her turmoil. Everything was unraveling, and she was caught in the eye of the storm, facing a family legacy that could drown her in its depths. And as she teetered on the brink, a singular, chilling thought swirled around her mind. Could she really trust her own blood? Or was she destined to become the very monster she feared? Margaret stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest, as the dark figure loomed closer. It felt like the world twisted and warped around her. The weight of their family's legacy pressed down heavily, and fear clawed at her throat. "No," she gasped. "I refuse to accept this." "Refusal does not change truth, dear Margaret," the shadowy woman hissed, her smile sharp and predatory. "You belong here, in the darkness. Embrace it." Each heartbeat echoed as the shadows pulsed with life, swirling ominously. Yet just as Margaret grasped the pit's terrible connection, a sudden explosion rang out like a gunshot, shaking the very foundation of the house. The floor beneath her gave a violent lurch, throwing her off balance. What was all she could manage before the air around her snapped, a surge of chaotic energy spiraling upward. The swirling darkness spun faster, and the walls shivered as if they were alive, struggling to contain the dark revelation. A blinding white light erupted from the pit, momentarily overshadowing everything. In that split second of brilliance, something shifted. A glimmering figure emerged, someone she never expected to see. It was her sister, Emma, but not the Emma she knew. This version shimmered with a radiant glow, exuding strength and power. "Margaret!" Emma's voice rang out clear and strong, slicing through the panic. "You need to remember who you are." "Emma!" Margaret screeched, confusion crashing against her. "What is happening?" "Listen to me." Emma stepped closer, shimmering like a beacon of hope. "Everything you've been told is a lie. This darkness, it's not just our families. It's been hunting us." The dark woman recoiled, fury dancing across her features. "You dare oppose me, Emma? You were supposed to be mine." "No," Emma asserted, defiance radiating off her. "I was lost, but now I've awakened to the truth. I've learned what family means, what we are capable of. In a heartbeat, the shadows screeched, swirling violently as if threatened. Margaret's heart raced. But what does that mean? Are you still you? Suddenly, the shimmering light enveloped their dying darkness, clashing against the shadows as the walls crackled with energy. You are more than what they made you. We can be far stronger together. But then, without warning, the dark woman lunged. Her figure twisted and merged with the shadows, morphing into a monstrous form that bore the pain of generations. It howled, shaking the very core of the farmhouse. You will never escape. You are mine to command. A burst of energy erupted from Emma, surging toward Margaret, a palpable force. Trust in me, Margaret. Fight with me. Margaret's heart raced. She could feel it, the call to the power buried deep within, fighting against the shadows, threatening to consume them. Yet even as she tried to remember who she was, an icy truth struck her like a dagger. Emma, if you were supposed to awaken, then was this all a setup? The words spilled from her mouth, and dread filled her chest. Was this your plan from the start? Emma froze, the light flickering around her. What? No! I want to help you! But as Margaret met her sister's eyes, that flicker of doubt made her tremble. The air crackled around them, suffocating. Emma's expression twisted, confusion morphing into something darker. Is that really true, Emma? The shadows crept closer, whispering secrets. Maybe you're the one who's been playing a game from the start. Margaret felt herself teeter on the edge between truth and betrayal as the dark woman sneered. Ah, yes, dear sister. Look closer. The truth is never what it seems. You've awakened something fixed deep in your family's bones. Darkness doesn't care who you are. Then, just as Margaret's mind began to clear, as she struggled to grasp the story unraveling before her, the ground below them cracked open again. Instead of the shadows rising, another figure emerged, all too familiar, all too twisted. It was Nathan. But he looked different. An unearthly light radiated from him, shimmering with a strange intensity. You both have awakened too late, he declared. And now, there's no turning back. Margaret's breath caught, heart racing with betrayal and fear. Nathan, what are you doing here? He smirked, eyes glinting, twisting the depths of Josephine's chaos into something unfathomable. What you don't know will change everything. Your sister, she's more connected than you think. But before Margaret could process the weight of those words, Nathan threw his hands forward. The shadows twisted violently, engulfing the room in a blinding maelstrom. And just as the darkness threatened to swallow her whole, the reality around her shattered. Everything blurred into chaos. And in that moment, all Margaret could think was, what hidden truth had she just unleashed? The shadows roared, twisting and curling around them like angry snakes. The floor shook violently, splintering beneath their feet. Margaret's breath caught in her throat. What was happening? The vibrant light from Emma felt like a lifeline. But the dark woman, relentless and furious, lunged forward. Her voice echoed, fierce and terrifying. You cannot escape the truth. Margaret's heart raced. Stop! All of you! She couldn't bear it anymore. Confusion clouded her mind as Nathan's words echoed in her ears. He had said something crucial, something that could cut through this chaos. But just as she found her footing, the ground split open with a deafening crack, and something terrible erupted. A vortex of light and shadow spiraled into being. They were being pulled down, dragged into the abyss. "Hold on!" Emma shouted, extending her hand. The radiant energy surged as she grasped Margaret's wrist. But darkness clawed at them, seeking to separate them. "Margaret!" Nathan's voice thundered, filled with urgency. "You have to choose. You either embrace the darkness or let it consume you." Panic pulsed in her chest. Choosing felt impossible. But amidst the fear, an unexpected surge of clarity washed over her. "The truth!" she screamed over the cacophony. "Tell me the truth!" In that moment, the shadows shrieked like a wounded beast, and suddenly everything stopped. The air crackled with tension. The figures in the pit froze mid-scream, and for a heartbeat, all was silent. Then, like a dam breaking, the figures pulled back, revealing a spinning image at the center of the vortex. A vision. A younger version of Edna appeared, vibrant and full of life. But then a shadow flickered behind her. There stood the dark woman, eyes blazing with power. In a rapid flash, they switched places, Edna crumpling in relief, while the shadow woman straightened, taking her place at the heart of their ancestral secret. Margaret's breath hitched. "Edna was? She was the source?" "No, not just her," Emma cried, desperation lacing her voice. "This dark power, it's been within our family. It's been waiting. It uses fear, it—" But before she could finish, the dark woman's laughter erupted, echoing through the silence. "You think you can uncover everything? The true betrayal lies deeper than you know. You've only scratched the surface. With each word, a truth unfurled. Something terrible." Margaret felt like the ground had been yanked from beneath her feet. "What do you mean?" "Your sister," the dark woman continued, a smirk twisting her features. "She's the one who invited me in. She thought she could control it, did she not?" Margaret's eyes widened. "Emma, no." "Yes!" Emma's radiant light flickered with vulnerability. "But I've learned. I can harness it. I can—" "No," the dark woman interjected, her voice a piercing whip. "You've only inflated her ego. She's still weak. And Margaret, dear, you're not safe. You're next. You have the old blood running through your veins. Our strength. You could be my greatest weapon." The truth, like ice, slid down Margaret's spine. Her world tilted, shifting into a disorienting spiral. "I won't be anyone's weapon." But as the shadows swelled, they felt the collective pulse. They were in this together, tangled in a family curse that sought to consume them whole. And just like that, a new figure emerged, stepping into the frame, silhouetted against the pulsating light. It was Liam, but his presence felt different, threatening. He approached slowly, as if the darkness beckoned him to join. You've all been chasing what you believe is truth, but what if the truth is me? I can't trust you, Margaret shouted, feeling a primal fear rise up inside. Trust? It's unneeded when the blood ties run as deep as they do, he replied with a chilling smile, his voice smooth like silk. You'll see. The moment you surrender, everything will change. As the shadows surged again, a primal scream echoed through the air, chilling Margaret's bones. Was this the reckoning of her family? Would she stand against the darkness that bore her blood? In that electric moment, everything froze again. She could either confront the truth or remain shackled to a legacy that craved her dissolution. Margaret! Emma cried, the urgency swelling her voice. Please, we can fight this together! But as the swirling chaos threatened to consume her, Margaret was left with a single realization. Was she ready to embrace the darkness? Or would she succumb to the very legacy she fought against? And in the heart of the storm, as their fates intertwined, the question echoed through the void. How much darkness could she truly allow into her soul? Margaret stood frozen, fear coursing through her. The shadows curled around her, whispering promises wrapped in darkness. She gazed into Emma's radiant eyes, desperation pushing her closer. We can fight this together, she repeated, heart pounding with hope and uncertainty. But just as she believed, as she clung to the warmth of her sister's light, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The swirling vortex of shadows twisted violently, creating a deafening roar that echoed through the farmhouse. Walls shook, splintering from the pressure. Hold on! Emma shouted, gripping Margaret's hand tighter as the pit raged around them. The shadows shrieked, full of anguish and fury. Then suddenly, a blinding flash. Margaret staggered back, nearly dropping Emma's hand. The darkness twisted, contorting into a monstrous form. An explosion of light erupted, and shadows flared, clawing at the edges of the room. And just when she thought the chaos would swallow them whole, it stopped. There was silence. An unnerving stillness enveloped them, thick and heavy. In that moment, everything became painfully clear. A figure emerged from the light. Margaret squinted, and the recognition struck her like a blow. Liam? A pit formed in her stomach. Something in his expression felt different, cruel and disconnected. No, Emma gasped, realization dawning in her eyes. This can't be. But before they could react, Liam's form morphed. Desperate flashes of the past flickered around him. Laughter, warmth, memories that crumbled as he grinned. That terrible grin that twisted everything Margaret thought she knew. Surprise, he said, voice dripping with malice. You've all been pawns in a game far greater than you imagined. I didn't just come back to warn you. I came to claim what's mine. What are you talking about? Margaret's voice trembled, confusion clouding her heart. You can't be serious. But Liam stepped closer, and the room distorted with his presence. Oh, I'm very serious. I am the last of the Hawthorns. all that remains to reclaim our power. I've played this game long. Enough. It's time for you to lose. Margaret's breath hitched in her throat, panic rushing through her. You're lying! You can't mean that! But Liam's laughter sent chills down her spine. Am I? I've watched you both fumble around, clinging to the truth. This is not about family bonds. It's the essence of our legacy. Darkness flows through your veins. Suddenly, the shadows surged forward, wrapping around Emma like a vice. She gasped, the light flickering in her vibrant eyes. No! Liam, don't do this! Don't you get it? He spread his arms wide as shift, balancing on the edge between belief and betrayal. You aren't capable of this! You're lost! But Liam lunged forward, eyes glimmering with a madness that sent a tremor through her. Just as he reached for Emma, the shadows thickened, consuming the light. A scream pierced the air, and suddenly, the vision shattered. Everything around them exploded. The walls trembled, crashing down around them like a storm ripping apart a house of cards. And then, in the midst of the chaos, Liam's face twisted. No, he screamed, and for an instant, vulnerability cracked through his bravado. Then, darkness swallowed him whole. Margaret barely had time to process what had happened. She smoothed her trembling hands over her clothes, desperate to find solid ground. What was that? What just happened? But Emma's face fell. Despair flooded her features. It doesn't matter now. He was right. This darkness is part of us, she whispered, voice trailing off into a shaky breath. Margaret's heart raced. Everything felt fragile, ready to shatter under the weight of new truths. But we can't let it control us. There must be another way. Just then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted movement near the pit. A slick shadow slithered up, and her breath caught in her throat. It wasn't over. Something else was coming. A figure rose from the depths of the pit. A face she never thought she'd see again. Not like this. Mother, she breathed, frozen in shock. The woman who appeared was regal and terrifying. Her eyes glinted with familiar mischief, but there was something else, something darker. Welcome home, Margaret, she purred, voice dipping into dangerous affection. Now the real game can begin. And in that moment, as the air thickened with the uncertainty of everything they had known, Margaret's heart dropped. Who was truly the enemy? And could they escape the grasp of a family legacy entwined with evil? The air grew thick, heavy with tension, as Margaret faced the regal figure that emerged from the shadows. Her mother stood before her, an apparition of elegance and terror, eyes gleaming with a predatory glow. Welcome home, Margaret, she purred, voice smooth and chilling. Now the real game can begin. Margaret's heart raced, panic flooding her chest. You shouldn't be here. She wanted to run, to escape the darkness creeping in, but her feet felt glued to the floor. Confusion swirled in her mind. How could her mother be alive? Why wouldn't I be? Her mother smiled, but it was a smile that sent shivers down her spine. I've always been here, in the shadows, pulling the strings. You were the one I needed, the one destined to complete my vision." "No!" Emma cried, stepping protectively in front of Margaret, light flickering around her. "We won't let you manipulate her again." Laughter erupted from her mother, a sound so hollow it sent a chill through the room. "You don't understand. This is bigger than you, Emma. It's about legacy. It's about power." A pulse of darkness rippled through the house, the walls seeming to lean in, hungry for their secrets. Margaret felt a tightness in her chest. "What have you done to us?" she gasped, feeling the weight of her family's dark history closing in. "Everything," the woman declared, raising her hands in triumph as if summoning the shadows. "I've crafted this very moment. You are both part of my plan. Together, we'll bring forth the power the Hawthorne name deserves." Margaret's mind raced, disbelief pulling her deeper into chaos. "No! This isn't who we are!" Her voice trembled as she grasped Emma's hand, searching for comfort in the flickering light. But her mother merely scoffed, brushing aside their fear like an annoying insect. "You think you can escape this? You're tied to." "It tied to me. But there's something you need to know." A sudden crash echoed like thunder. The floor shuddered, threatening to break apart. Margaret stumbled, heart pounding in time with the chaos swirling around them. Then, with a jolt, the pit opened wider, shadows contorting. And through the swirling chaos, a sinister figure began to rise. A man with eyes like cold steel. "Derek?" Margaret gasped, realization striking like a lightning bolt. Her heart dropped into her stomach. He was supposed to be dead. "Surprised to see me?" Derek smirked, stepping forward, fragments of memories swirling around him like smoke. "I didn't die. I've been waiting for this moment." "This isn't possible. How?" Emma stammered, incredulity painted across her face. Derek's face twisted into a cruel grin. "You thought your family was broken? We were always whole, my dear. Just hidden under layers of deception. Just like the Hawthorns." Margaret's breath came in ragged bursts. "What do you want from us?" The truth settled around them like a heavy fog. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming a legacy. But before Derek could answer, the shadows surged, as if responding to an unseen command. Margaret's thoughts raced. This was too much. Everything was spiraling out of control. "Join us, and we'll give you the power you never believed you had," her mother coaxed, eyes glinting with temptation. "You could be unstoppable." "No!" Margaret screamed, shaking her head, panic rising. "I won't be part of this!" And just when Margaret thought she would shatter under the weight of it all, something snapped inside her. A realization. "You're lying! You have to be! The truth, where is it?" But then came an unexpected silence, thick and heavy. The shadows held their breath, as if waiting, pausing for the next move in their game. In that stillness, something profound shifted. The ground trembled again, and from the depths of the darkness, another figure emerged. Her sister, but not like before. Emma's expression was a mask of calm, no longer frightened, but empowered. "Margaret," she began, her voice steady and warm, yet unsettling. "I've learned the truth, and I'm ready to embrace it." Shock ripped through Margaret, leaving her gasping. "What? No, Emma, don't you see? They're manipulating you!" "I'm not being manipulated. I'm finally seeing." Emma's eyes glowed, a spark of determination flaring brightly. Fear clawed at Margaret's throat. "You're choosing this darkness over family?" Emma smiled, but it was empty, devoid of familiarity. "I'm choosing our destiny." What was happening? Margaret felt the walls close in, threatening to suffocate her. The very foundation of her world trembled as the truth unfurled like a sinister blossom. Emma was no longer her guiding light, but a player in the same game. "No, Emma, you can't!" Margaret cried out, desperation pouring from her heart. And then, just as she reached for her sister, an explosion of light erupted, blasting through the shadows, swallowing them whole. An incandescent brilliance overtook the darkness, and everything went white. When Margaret opened her eyes, she was alone. The pit was gone, and the house lay in ruin around her. A chill filled the air as she called out for Emma and Derek. Silence answered. In the void left behind, one haunting thought echoed in her mind. Had she lost her sister to the darkness forever? And if so, who was left to fight this battle? Margaret stood alone in the silence, the remnants of the storm swirling around her. Her heart pounded in her chest, echoing against the stillness. She searched for any trace of Emma or Derek, but the emptiness felt suffocating. "Where are you?" she whispered, dread creeping into her veins. The pit had closed, but its echoes lingered, whispering secrets that gnawed at her mind. A chill washed over her, and she shivered as a sudden gust swept through the ruined farmhouse. Shadows darted in the corners of her vision, flickering like dying embers. Panic tightened her chest. It wasn't over. Something was still lurking. "Stop this!" she shouted into the void, voice trembling. "Show yourself!" But instead of an answer, something else began to stir. It was subtle at first, a faint rustle echoing through the wreckage. The walls creaked as if responding to her challenge. Margaret held her breath, a lump forming in her throat, fear mounting like a rising tide. Suddenly, the air shifted. A figure materialized in the dim light, a silhouette against the debris. Margaret squinted, afraid to believe her eyes. "Who's there?" The figure stepped closer, and her heart almost stopped. It was Nathan, worn but undeniably alive. He looked different, though. He seemed less like the lost cousin she remembered and more like a shadow of the man he could have been. His eyes held a mixture of urgency and something darker. "Margaret!" he rasped, breathless. "We need to move, now!" "What's happening?" she demanded, confusion twisting her gut. "Where's Emma? Where's Derek?" He shook his head, eyes wide with fear. "There's no time! They've opened something!" Something ancient and terrifying. Margaret's heart raced. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, the walls trembled once more, shaking loose dust and fragments from the ceiling. Nathan's gaze darted around, and suddenly a flash of light erupted from the remnants of the pit, slicing through. The darkness. Shards of memories flickered like film reels. Faces, voices, all entwined in a chaotic montage. "Margaret!" Nathan shouted, his urgency palpable. "It's getting stronger!" In an instant, the light began to swirl. It coalesced into a single form, a ghostly apparition emerging from the chaos. As the light solidified, Margaret's breath hitched, eyes wide with recognition. It was her mother, older, but undeniably her. "Surprised to see me?" her mother's voice echoed. Soft, yet commanding. "I've returned, my dear." "No, this can't be real," Margaret whispered, skin crawling. "You're supposed to be—" "Dead?" her mother interrupted, a smirk on her lips. "No, I've simply been waiting for the right moment to return. And now, dear Margaret, it's time for you to choose." "Choose what?" The words fell. Flat, uncertainty strangling her voice. "I won't join you in this darkness." "You misunderstand," her mother cried, the light flickering in her grasp. "I'm offering you power, strength beyond your wildest dreams." Margaret felt Nathan's hand grip her shoulder, the tension palpable. "Don't listen," he urged, his voice trembling. "This isn't who she is." Then everything shifted. A loud crack shattered the moment, and the floor beneath them split open once more, a gaping maw threatening to consume them all. Margaret gasped, clutching Nathan's arm. They were losing control. Out of the pit, another figure pulled itself up, a ragged silhouette emerging from the shadows. It was Derek, more monstrous than before, a twisted reflection of who he once was. His eyes glinted with malice and something else. "Together, we can reclaim what is rightfully ours." Margaret's world tilted. She felt her heart race as Derek stepped closer. "What have you done?" she stammered, fear etching itself on her face. Laughter filled the air, a sound that chilled her to her core. "You think this is about family?" Derek sneered, eyes glinting. "It's about power, and you're just the key we need." Margaret's breath quickened as shadows surged forth, coiling around her. Desperation clawed at her thoughts. How could this be? "Margaret!" Nathan shouted, breaking through the chaos. "You have to fight! Fight against this darkness!" But as she stared into the eyes of her family, her mother, her sister, and the twisted remnants of loyalty, they all blended into one truth. They were no longer. What she had believed, a shocking realization crammed into her chest. The darkness wasn't just a family curse. It was their legacy, driving them all. "Choose." The specter of her mother beckoned, voice rising like a siren's song. "Join us or be consumed." And in that moment, with shadows reaching for her, Margaret faced a terrifying decision. As the darkness closed in, a devastating thought screamed in her mind. She might have to become everything she despised just to survive. Would she be willing to embrace the darkness coursing through her veins? As the room erupted in chaos, spinning into an abyss, the question haunted her soul. Was she willing to sacrifice everything she cared about, including her own light. The shadows surged, curling around Margaret and Nathan like mist. Fear wrapped its icy fingers around her heart as her mother's voice echoed. "You have the power, my dear. Embrace it." "No!" Margaret shouted, a fierce spark igniting inside her. "I won't join you." She glared at the apparition, feeling Nathan's reassuring grip on her shoulder. His presence was a tether to the lingering light in her heart. "Fight, Margaret," Nathan urged, voice tense with urgency. "You're stronger than this. Together." The ground rumbled, pulling them toward the pit, dark energy beckoning like a siren's song. Inside, the grotesque faces of their ancestors twisted and snarled. Derek's shadowy form edged toward them, his grin wide and twisted. Choose, power or despair. Margaret felt a surge of adrenaline. "No, I choose freedom." With a fierce cry, she reached into her heart, tapping into that source of light. Memories flooded her mind. Moments of joy, laughter, and love shared with Emma. "Now, Margaret!" Nathan yelled as the shadows lunged. In that split second, clarity overcame her. Margaret unleashed a brilliant wave of light, piercing through the darkness. It radiated like a beacon, and the shadows recoiled, shrieking in agony as her light washed over them. "No!" her mother bellowed, eyes wide with rage. "You'll regret this!" But it was too late. The blinding light engulfed the room, illuminating every corner, every trapped face that flickered with confusion. Margaret felt the pulse of the darkness fade, its hold slipping away like sand through her fingers. "Emma!" she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. "Where are you?" And just then, as the light held the shadows at bay, Emma emerged from the brightness, finally whole. Her eyes sparkled with truth and warmth, shining through the remnants of darkness. "Margaret, you did it!" In that moment, the chaos quieted. The darkness shuddered and swirled until, with one last scream, it collapsed into itself, vanishing into nothingness. The farmhouse was still, eerily silent. Breathless, tears streamed down Margaret's cheeks. "I thought I lost you." She rushed to Emma, wrapping her arms around her. "I was so scared." "I know," Emma whispered, pulling her close. "But we're free now. We can rewrite our story, together." As the two sisters clung to one another, Nathan stepped back, his presence gradually fading. "I have my own path now. Thank you, both of you. Remember, the shadows might return in different forms." "Come with us," Emma urged, hope shining in her eyes. He shook his head, a bittersweet smile on his lips. "No, this is your journey now. I have to face my own truth." With one last lingering look, he stepped back into the pale light, becoming part of the memories they shared, uncertain yet brave. "Stay strong, Nathan," Margaret called, heart heavy yet lifted. Turning to Emma, they stepped out of the remnants of the farmhouse. The air felt lighter, bursting with possibility. As the first rays of dawn broke, illuminating the dark past they had shattered, they knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. But they also knew their bond was stronger than any shadow. As they took their first steps into the new day, a voice echoed, softer now, but still present. "What lies ahead is unknown. And in that moment, Margaret realized they were ready to face whatever awaited them. If you followed this journey and want more incredible stories, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss a single moment. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button and help us feed the algorithm to reach more amazing fans. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, theories, and reactions about this ending. And don't wait another second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know about this epic conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.